function and an inverse trig function. Trig and inverse trig. So we're going to apply that to find the exact value of sine of arctangent of negative 5 over 2. Okay, so first of all, arctan of negative 5 over 2. Recall that we've talked about before that an arc function of tangent is either going to be in quadrants 1 or 4. So since this is a negative value tangent, this is going to be in quadrant 4. So as I draw my reference triangle is going to look like it's in quadrant 4. And remember that tangent is opposite over adjacent. So it's going to look something like this in quadrant 4. My angle is going to be located right there. The opposite and the adjacent are going to be negative 5 and 2. So the opposite is negative 5, downward 5, and the adjacent is 2. So we're 2 to the right, negative 5 down with where we are located in quadrant 4. Okay, by the Pythagorean theorem, we can locate the missing side over here. So how would we do that? We'd have 2 squared plus negative 5 squared is equal to c squared. So 4 plus 25 is equal to c squared, and therefore 29 is equal to c squared, and c must therefore be the square root of 29. So we're finally ready to answer the final part of the question here. It's asking for the sine of that particular angle. So now, looking at our reference angle, we can take the sine of it, recalling that the sine is the ratio of opposite to hypotenuse. So we can see that the opposite side is negative 5, and the hypotenuse would be radical 29. So for my class, that's good enough. Negative 5 over rad 29. But if you're in a class that requires you to rationalize denominators, another correct answer would be to say negative 5 radical 29 over 29 for the sine value of the arctangent of negative 5 over 2. Okay, why don't you try one on your own here? Pause the video and try to find the exact value of the cosecant of the cosine inverse of 3/5. Okay, assuming you gave it a good old shot here and paused the video, tried it on your own, we want the cosine inverse of 3/5. Cosine, recall, is either in quadrant 1, cosine inverse, sorry, is either going to be in quadrant 1 or 2. So since this is a positive value, this is going to be in quadrant 1. So quadrant 1 has right movement and up movement. So there's going to be our angle in quadrant 1. Cosine is the ratio of the adjacent side to the hypotenuse. So adjacent side is going to be 3. Hypotenuse is going to be 5. And that means we should be able to figure out what that third side is. The third side is going to be found by the Pythagorean theorem, or by memorization. This one's a common one, but let's do it for fun. 3 squared plus b squared is equal to 5 squared, which would mean that 9 plus b squared is equal to 25, which would mean that b squared is equal to 16, and therefore b is equal to 4. So we end up getting this other side of being b equals 4. Okay, at any rate, now we should be able to answer the question. So the cosine inverse of 3/5 is pictured right here. If we want the cosecant of that angle, we need the ratio of the reciprocal of sine. So now instead of having an opposite over hypotenuse like a sine, we're going to use a hypotenuse over an opposite. So in this case, the hypotenuse was 5, and the opposite would be the one that's over here, and that would be 4. So the answer to this problem for cosecant of cosine inverse of 3/5 is 5/4.